Imagine this. You're an immigrant in Canada, waiting for a special immigration program that might completely change the trajectory of your status in Canada. But you hear about this crucial news, not from the press conference room in Ottawa, but through a YouTube channel. And this channel happens to be selling immigration services with a 100% success guarantee. What? Yeah, this did happen. And safe to say, was quite a stir that shook up 540 immigration lawyers. Yes, it created so much attention and controversy that CILA, Canadian Immigration Lawyers Association, published an open letter to Minister Lena Diab. In this letter, they pointed out how it was concerning for them to discuss the TR to PR 2026 program on, and I quote, the I'm Canada YouTube channel that has been used to promote legal service offering a 100% success guarantee to prospective newcomers. CILA's letter really caught my attention because not only is it in line with what I have been criticizing about the minister's way of public communication, but the website of this I'm Canada YouTube channel, where they've been selling immigration legal services and AI-based DIY tools, magically disappeared right after CILA's letter was published. This site had been alive and well before the CILA letter was released. Sure, it could be just a temporary downtime and the site could be back on Monday, but the timing is so, what the actual fuck, right? This was what led me to make this the topic of the first ever all-English video of this channel, because frankly, this story deserves a wider audience than just Korean speakers in Canada. In short, something smells Nova Scotian fishy. Yeah, Mr. Medyk, the man behind the YouTube channel, is based in Nova Scotia. Guess where Mr. Diab is seated as an MP? Anyway, we'll cover what the CILA is warning about and requesting from the minister and why it is important. And then, a more fun, hands-on part. We'll take a deep dive on Max Medyk to learn what his business is really about. Oh yeah, he has some impressive plastic smile, doesn't he? Pretty sure that this photo was refined by AI as well. We'll learn more about his love to AI in this video. By the way, even the site has disappeared from the public space, there's still a way to access the remnants of his creation, and we will investigate it together. Specifically, we'll look at which regulations and codes of conduct Mr. Medyk's businesses might be violating, and we have an interesting question. Can an AI tool write immigration documents for you without violating any law? And if you use it, where exactly does your personal data end up? Do you trust this guy? Or any tech bro for the matter, with the sensitive personal information? And we'll also talk about Minister Diab's role in this whole mess, because whether she intended or not, by appearing in this interview on the YouTube channel, she may have indirectly endorsed a business that raises some eyebrows. Well, not just a couple of eyebrows, but eyebrows of 540 immigration lawyers and other stakeholders to be precise. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Quick intro about me before we dive in. My name is Juan, a Canadian permanent resident, soon to be a citizen, with over 15 years of experience dissecting documents as a professional English to Korean translator. I have been making in-depth analysis videos about Canadian immigration for over 2 years in Korean in this very channel. Yeah, I'm a huge immigration nerd. I don't know how many of you are out there, but I'm so happy to meet new English-speaking viewers as well as my beloved existing Korean-speaking audiences who will meet a slightly different version of myself than usual. Now, let's get to it. CILA's letter did not mess around. They pinpoint the main issue they want to raise through this letter, which is the minister's remarks about this so-called TR to PR 2026 program that the IRCC first mentioned in Budget 2025 back in November 25. Half a year had passed, and things are still quite cloudy, you know. They also emphasize that it is concerning that information is shared through informal, unofficial channels like, this very interview in question, and another interview in February at Canadian Club Toronto, which was a much more formal setup to be fair, but not an official IRCC channel either. No TR to PR discussion here, but the pattern is pretty clear. And more importantly, CILA makes a compelling point that their clients, aka immigrants who monitor the Canadian immigration landscape, show confusion, anxiety, and questions that cannot be answered because information is being released piecemeal, which is a very highly intelligent way to put it. Yes, releasing piecemeal information basically means that the IRCC is releasing a small piece of information one at a time. And it's being done in random different unofficial channels to boot. Now put yourself in the shoes of practitioners like immigration lawyers and immigration consultants. Not only would they have trouble figuring out what's really going on, they would have a hard time giving clear answers to their clients. It's not only frustrating, but it could even make them look incompetent, bad to their clients because they cannot provide a clear answer, right? CILA states that this fragmented, piecemeal way of communication from IRCC the root cause of four major issues. First, they argue that this spreads misinformation because information that has not been verified by the IRCC is shared through commercial social media platforms. Here, they explicitly mention the name of the YouTube channel, I'm Canada, and they also briefly explain the schemes that they offer legal services with compelling promises and tell people to get ready to file this TR2PR program. In my view, this is a pretty direct accusation to them, but it only argues a part of what this channel's business is actually about. More on this in the later section. But think about this. CILA literally name-dropped this channel in an official letter to the minister. It's pretty scary, right? Yeah, it's scary stuff if you ask me. Second, they say that it creates information gap, which bad actors can exploit to take advantage of vulnerable immigrants. No explanation is needed about that. Bad actors fill the gap with their own version of the story. Concerned, anxious immigrants are easy targets. As you might all know, this is a tried and proven way, and the minister's way of communication works like wind beneath their wings. Third, based on this incomplete and often misleading information, immigrants could make premature decisions or pay for representation that they may or may not need. This is because everything is based on speculation right now. Nobody truly knows what's coming. Finally, this increases anxiety and affects immigrants' lives. No need for further elaboration about that, right? What's interesting is that they are not done yet. Before the conclusion, they pointed out Minister Diab's excessive engagement with commercial immigration service providers and spilling the beans on the program that hasn't been officially confirmed. In conclusion of this letter, CILA suggests a definite action plan to IRCC, who issued a statement for four different aspects. First, CILA requested IRCC to confirm whether this TR2PR 2026 program has officially launched. It's because Minister Diab said that this program had, already soft launched in early March in an interview with Toronto Star. The thing is that since then, there have been no real updates or action before this interview with that I Am Canada YouTube channel. Second, they request to provide the specific launch date if it has not launched yet. Third, they ask them to put the full eligibility criteria, which is, in other words, all program details about who they will select in this program and how. She did state a few criteria during this interview, but it was vague at best, right? Lastly, and most importantly actually, they mentioned the channel name I'm Canada again in this letter and urge IRCC to confirm that they do not have a relationship with this channel and its legal services. This is actually the most important part of this whole letter, and I think this triggered Mr. Medyk to shut down his immigration site website and hide his head like an ostrich. Our ambitious entrepreneur, and I use that term very, very loosely, launched two websites. The media site is still online, probably because it's not in CILA's direct crosshairs. What's funny is that these two buttons are very low effort. The Partner with Us button opens your Outlook app with their email in it, while Watch Our Work button leads you to his Instagram account. So this website does not have real substance in itself, and it works as a hub to his social media account. In another section, he claims why he is not just another influencer with low-effort generative AI writing, which was likely generated by an obsolete version of ChatGPT, considering the way it is written. Moreover, he says we are in the room and emphasize some types of connection with federal ministers and premiers in different provinces. Very interesting. Want to know who he's in the room with? Yeah, he's not shy about that at all. He shows pictures with people of power, such as David Eby, Premier of BC, Tim Houston, Premier of Nova Scotia, and several former and current federal ministers. If you click each image, it leads you to the, yeah, you guessed it right, Instagram Reels post in his own account for their respective bigwig. And to top it all off, yeah, our Honourable Immigration Minister unofficially leaking information about federal immigration in this guy's YouTube channel. And it gets better. the minister unknowingly appeared in a commercial for a website Mr. Medyk promotes for his business. During the interview with the channel, Mr. Medyk asked the minister about the website called Live.rent and dedicated a full 1.5 minutes talking about this service it offers. So this was virtually a commercial for a website that does not have much to do with immigration itself, with a poor, unassuming, innocent, maybe, minister's presence. Thankfully, a great reporter at Globe and Mail, Mari Wolf, I salute you, caught this and raised a question about it in the article. Mr. Medyk brought up Live.rent during the interview, asked the minister if she knew about the site. She said no. So Mr. Medyk then spent 1.5 minutes talking it up. When Globe and Mail asked, he confirmed Live.rent is a client he does marketing for. So a paid commercial basically, right? With the IRCC minister present, probably without prior notice and without her permission. Mr. Medyk added that the minister did not endorse him, his company, or any platform, trying his best to ignore the fact that the mere presence of the minister in this video, the massive endorsement to his content, channel, and brand. By the way, the only quantitative performance metrics suggested in this website is, drumroll please, of course, followers and subscribers on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, 400K in total. Never mind the fact that he is so confident that these 400K are all Canadians. Funny. Never mind the fact that he wrote not another influencer in the same page, while the subscriber numbers are the only objective number that he suggests. Not another influencer. Yeah, sure you aren't. Yeah, you are something. But bragging about the number of followers for marketing business, I don't know. Sounds pretty influencery to me, if there's such a word. Finally, his website said recognized in the House of Commons, Parliament of Canada. Sounds impressive, right? So I looked it up in the Hansard, and there was exactly one result on November 17, 2025 by Halifax MP Shannon Miedema, I guess. This is a short free-form slot where MPs can talk about whatever they want for a certain minutes. Here, she congratulated his company for placing third at the private entrepreneurship competition. That was it. And this guy put it as if it is something like a Nobel Prize. Now, let's see his immigration service business, which is even more troublesome and has even more serious implications on immigration policy and immigration consulting service. So, since the release of CILA's open letter, I'm Canada's immigration service website, I'm Canada Immigrate, went offline. So it is not publicly accessible at this moment anymore. However, thanks to Wayback Machine, we can still see a captured version, a time machine for website, if you will. Well, it didn't take long to find the first left flag, which the immigration lawyers also copied and pasted in their open letter. 100% success guarantee. But a bold statement. I can imagine the immigration lawyers rubbing their hands together when they saw this message and put it in their open letter. What makes it even more serious is that the bold statement, it also said, if we apply for study permit and it gets refused, we will resubmit for free, which basically implies that you will get approved eventually if you just keep reapplying. But that's not how it works, right? Underneath that bold statement, we can find proof that this web page was written by an actual human, not by Gen AI, like the other website, because they made a rookie grammar mistake that we actively collaborate with an S with government and immigration leaders. Globe and Mail also spotted this and added this part with the grammar error still intact in their own article. I see what you did there, reporter. Boy, do I love this article. In all seriousness, this is another huge red flag. Not the grammar error, but the claim that they collaborate with an S with the government and immigration leaders to stay informed. This could give readers false impression that this website has some type of internal connection with the powers that be, or access to internal information that cannot be accessed by others. Well, this is a classic ghost consultant move, you know. Remember the last request from CILA in their open letter? Yeah, yet another reason why they added it. Now, let's look at their legal service section. These simple few texts are already full of issues. 100% money-back guarantee does not work in this practice. And again, you will not get approved, but your record won't look great if you keep getting refused and reapplying again and again. Also, 500 successful cases claim that cannot be proven. Their lead immigration partner lawyer has a 91% approval rate with her client. Another boy claimed that cannot be proven. Now the fun part, the legal fees. What's interesting here is that they charge legal fees in US dollar and taxes may apply or it may not apply. I don't know. Convert to Canadian dollar and it's 15 to 20% cheaper than a top-notch immigration lawyer. That's your discount for ditching credibility and going with this guy. There are the information of practitioners affiliated with this website, and I confirm that they are registered, legit professionals. While the Globe and Mail article says that they offer humanitarian and compassionate application services from an immigration lawyer for 7,000 US dollars. Very interesting because I couldn't find such information anywhere in the website. Maybe the reporter has access to a version of the site I didn't. Or maybe the service was deliberately kept off the main page. Either way, it raises question because neither of his partners have any professional competency for humanitarian compassionate application service. At least that's what the website says. Now, let's talk about his AI-based services. This is where it gets genuinely interesting. Legally speaking, it's a massive gray zone. I'll explain why in a moment. There are basically two AI-based services in this website. One is SOP Builder, and the other is Immigrate AI. He claims to use advanced technology for both. He says low budget, no time, no problem. Well, I've got some bad news, pal. There are a lot of problems, and you close your stupid website because of that. You know that, right? They are also proud to say that their technology is based on OpenAI. Well, powered by OpenAI means that they just borrowed their API, added some immigration prompts, and put people's inputs in there and charged you for that. And your sensitive personal data that was entered, it goes to Immigrate AI servers, then OpenAI server. So it goes to two different locations. Do you really want to trust a tech bro with a highly sensitive immigration data? This is basically a tool where you enter your information and then the Gen AI-based tool generates an entire statement of purpose for you. Well, apparently this guy doesn't know that it's actually study permit, not study visa. And he likely does not know the differences between a permit and a visa. But it gets worse. If you purchase the advanced plan, you get a strategy session with Mr. Plastic Smile himself. By offering paid immigration strategy sessions, it may be in direct violation of the Section 91 of the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, which is basically about illegalizing ghost consultants. That provision strictly reserves paid immigration advice for licensed lawyers, RCICs, you know, immigration consultants, and Quebec notaries. Mr. Medyk is none of this. If we actually deliver these sessions, that is potentially a serious federal offense as it constitutes a tangible violation of the immigration law. What's hilarious is that the Mr. Medyk explicitly denied offering legal advice or guarantees in his interview. Does he mean it? Because his SOP builder literally guarantees success. He also tries to play safe by saying his AI-based tool provides precise, personalized guidance to find optimal PR pathway. He thinks using the word guidance instead of advice will save him. Well, too bad for him, because advice is literally the closest synonym of guidance. And this tool identifies optimal PR pathways and provides precise, personalized guidance. Sounds pretty close to legal advice to me. And to top it all off, this website claims that they collaborate, with an S, with government and immigration leaders to stay informed. And it could give users the false expectation that his AI-based tool has some secret, exclusive government access. I don't know whether this was intentional or just pure ignorance, but it's a sleazy move nonetheless. A veteran immigration consultant I respect once told me that the underground economy never ever disappears. Unlicensed practitioners have always been there. There are even unlicensed dentists out there, and yet real dentists still thrive. Immigration is not that different. You cannot eliminate every single bad actor. Licensed practitioners just have to maintain their integrity and let that speak for itself. I think that makes sense, right? And honestly, this channel, I'm Canada, and its business has been largely under the radar because it seems to be negligible and not a real threat to legitimate professionals. Minister Diab is not even the first high-ranked officer who appeared in this channel. A year and 2 years ago, respectively, Minister Sean Fraser and Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston appeared in his channel, but it did not make a whole lot of buzz because they didn't really talk about government policies or anything that bears much gravity. But that changed the moment the immigration minister walked into the channel. Her accidental endorsement caught the eyes of the media, 540 lawyers, now our own eyes too. If Mr. Medyk won RCIC, he'd have violated multiple sections of the CICC Code of Professional Conduct. As you can see, he would have violated all 3 subsections of Section 42. He made unverifiable claims like a 91% approval rate, guaranteed 100% success, and implied connections with higher ups. However, since he isn't a licensed professional, these CICC regulations don't even apply to him. This is the bigger problem. If it is deemed that he has offered paid immigration advice, the Section 91 of the IRPA would apply to him, and I wonder how this will turn out. Now, I'd like to talk about the gray zone. AI tools that write immigration documents using people's sensitive personal information for profit. His, and I quote, strategy meeting with Max Medyk involves legal immigration advice. Do these constitute advice under the IRPA Section 91? Is guidance the same as advice? We saw what the dictionary said, right? The thing is that there is no provision in Canadian immigration law that explicitly covers this yet. That gap needs to be closed, and it's quite urgent because technology never stops advancing and assholes keep growing on trees. Finally, CILA's 4 requests to Minister Diab are simple. Clarify the TR to program details and officially cut ties with I'm Canada. Hopefully, IRCC and the minister will address it soon. But I'm still left with one important question. How does this guy who built this so-called AI startup on borrowed open AI API keep getting access to federal cabinet ministers? I really don't know. Hopefully we'll find out. Well, probably we won't, right? Until regulators close those gray zones, the best tool we can use is critical thinking. Thank you very much for watching. If you find this breakdown helpful, please let me know in the comments. As an immigration nerd, I have a lot more to say about what's happening in Canada and Canada immigration right now. Until next time, stay sharp and stay critical. Bye.